Hey everybody, this is Greg Petix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the Petixonian Institute of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Mondo Snarfo, a 1978 underground published by Kitchen Sink Enterprises, and it features surrealistic comics by a lot of great creators, which we will soon see. Great cover by Dennis Kitchen, having all of his zany cartoon characters. The thing is about this comic is kind of weird, is most of these comics are pretty much just underground comics. A lot of underground comics were pretty surreal. So it's not like this is very different from other underground anthologies. But there's definitely some stuff in here that's, pushing it a little into the more surreal territory. We have this inside front cover by Peter Pontiac. Peter Pontiac is from the Netherlands, I think. And he's amazing. I wish I had more of his stuff. He has a lot of stuff in here, and it's all really good. There's just some surreal little interlude. This guy's having a bad trip or something, and this woman's trying to comfort him, and his eyeballs pop out, and he comes to the conclusion that we're all sinners. So a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense, but interesting concepts and stuff abound, and some really nice art. The first story we got is Situation Comedy by Bill Griffith. And this is surreal only because of the way he formats the comic. It's basically this family is having a very mundane conversation. The father's asking about how their daughter's date went. And the mother's like, I don't know, she didn't get home till 2. So they just continue this mundane conversation, but the milieu keeps changing. And the, genres, but they're still having the same bland conversation about, the son's asking for what's his lunch going to be, his bag lunch for school that day. So I guess the juxtaposition is what makes it surreal. Some Asian art there, some beatniks, it just keeps changing the setting and the characters. And finally, we actually see Bill Griffith at his drawing desk, but it's still the same conversation. So there's some really nice Bill Griffith artwork. He's really drawn the shit out of this. Life's Improper Number by Steve Stiles. This is one of the funnier things I've ever read by Steve Stiles. He was like the gag cartoonist of the underground scene. He was in lots of undergrounds, but his stuff was usually pretty clean and just like a funny gag. And I almost suspect he was wanted to write for Mad and draw for Mad, but he couldn't get in. But this is pretty funny. It's a parody of those commercials from the 70s when busybody neighbors would be like, oh, your laundry isn't as white as it could be. Look at mine. Why don't you use this detergent? But then it turns into this crazy thing where her laundry is so white that it kills this woman, her eyes. and then it turns out she's working for, some secret government agency. And I am happy to smash all enemies of the plan. And then here's a really surreal little bottom strip where it's just flicks of ink, but they're all talking to each other, just saying philosophical weird things. This next one I like a lot. This is let me see who this is. It doesn't say on the page. Oh, Bob Armstrong, the Mickey Rat guy. And this one I really like. It's this kid who goes to the county fair, pukes on himself in the ride because it spins so fast. And he's still dripping with puke, walking around the fair, sees all this surreal stuff. Goes to this donut shack. And for some reason, they give him 30 donuts, and they give him a martini. And then just surreal. So it doesn't really make much sense, but all this zany, fun stuff happens to him. He goes to watch this presentation. They bring out this hot country singer who takes a shine to the kid, but then she deflates. She's just a party doll, which is what her lyrics were saying. Their lyrics were about being a party doll. And everyone blames him. They act like he killed that lady deflated her, and they're like, get him. So he runs into the House of Horrors. This automatic foot trips him, goes through this weird, surreal journey on this little cart. Crawls through the earth like an ant, comes out this thing, and comes home. And his mom's saying, you're late, you better go feed those hogs. How was the fair? And he's just the same as last year, even though all this remarkable, surreal stuff happened. I really like the art in this one. I've never seen Robert Armstrong draw this great. Here's a one-pager from Art Spiegelman. Henry Foulbite, His Lucky Day. It's weird though, it's not surreal at all. It's pretty much just telling a little silent story about this sad sack loser. Doesn't have any money. He's a cartoonist. He can't sell, his cartoons get rejected. The woman he's in love with, the secretary at the publishing places, doesn't even know he exists. This guy mugs him, but he's got no money, so he just punches him. And he finds a dollar bill. And that's the ending. Happy ending. It's just a story, straight told, straightforward. And I think he's trying to be like Lind Ward here. But it looks very much like that, those silent woodcut novels. Okay, this is worth the price of admission here. Major Arcana by Dennis Kitchen. This is some amazing cartooning. Hope you're watching this on a big screen. Just the detail of just zany cartoon imagery. And this is Major Arcana, I guess. Not that it matters. And yeah, Dennis Kitchen, it's a rare treat when he draws. Even in the late 70s, he wasn't drawing much. He was pretty much running his publishing house, So this was a rare treat even then. And yeah, as you can see, this is like living up to the surrealistic comic thing. It's just really just Dada surreal. Yeah, nothing to explain here. It's just beautiful art. So many great panels. That could be wallpaper. I would want that to be wallpaper in my house. And some cowboys. And then they're at some weird bar. And that's it. But man, it's amazing cartooning. So not much narrative. You're not getting a big narrative punch in this comic, but it makes up for it with strangeness and quandary. Here's a very early Mark Beyer comic. This years before Raw came out, when everyone knew who he was. And Tony Target, his character, he's in school, he gets expelled. He goes into this toy store, and the guy says, all we have is boxes and dolls and secondhand pedigree foxes. Boxes and foxes. So the kid... And then I don't understand, there's this guy here, which I think is Tony, driving this car, like leading. I don't know if these are supposed to be foxes. Mark Beyer is such a crude artist. That could be his interpretation of foxes. And they crack. So he goes back to the toy store. He's like, hey, jerk, I want my money back. But then he's like, wait a second. This isn't the same store it was a few minutes ago. So these people inside the store are pissed at him. And they run after him. Looks like they dogpile him. But this person says, Tony, you can get up now. And then all of his teachers from school are there with the expulsion note, showing it to Tony. It's almost like a dream, dream logic, just craziness. But actually, it was drawn in '76. It says so. This is really early Mark Beyer. Here we got some more Steve Styles, and this is like more pure surrealism, like lots of non sequiturs. Doesn't really make much sense, and but it's got some fun like cartoony sci-fi art. And this guy's got warts in his hands, and this chicken astronaut guy is flying around. I like this panel when the guy from this panel, the warts in his hand guy, he just breaks up into pieces. Here's a very dreamlike image. He's just looking down and he sees all these people holding hands around the circle. There's a weird little guy in the bottom. Just has nothing to do with anything around it, really. And, and then it ends with this stupid gag. Well, I don't know if it's a gag. It's just a gross out thing. Where he's got warts on his ass after he goes to the rectum inspection. So that's that. More iron, the psycho-civilized world. I like the cartooning, though. This is Peter Pontiac again doing the center spread. This is fucking beautiful, I think. There's this paragraph of text here, caption, but a lot of the words have been whited out. And so just random words appear, like that William S. Burroughs thing. So it's a boxing match between Jesus and Buddha. And they call him the Rat Prince. And they call Jesus the Magic Messiah. It's beautiful art there. And it says next week, Bo Diddley versus Bo Yin Ra. And just, you know, it's surreal comics, so it's lots of non sequiturs. People are just saying random things. But the art's amazing. Bob Dylan pops up. Has a little lyric about this guy. And I love this panel. It's like a cartoony depiction of the Passion. And yeah, this is, I would love a whole comic drum like that. I think Peter Pontiac has stuff like that. I really need to get more of his stuff. I'm kind of ignorant of Peter Pontiac, but I definitely want to get more after seeing this. Here's a little very Robert Williams-like just design motif in the middle. This semi-naked cowgirl. The badges, the sheriff badges are covering her nipples like pasties. And then we see this guy who I think may be Peter Pontiac. Back then he was a cool hippie dude. And this hot woman comes out of the water. It looks like she's sinking into the water though. But then they're having a good time. And it looks like everything's coming up aces. But then it ends with, still, it can't be denied, we're gonna die. So, no matter how great life may seem, when you're young and happy, we're all gonna die. But yeah, there's some good stuff. I'll linger on that for a second, so you can check it out. This guy I've never heard of, Tom Budzinski. And just, it's a one page, you know, this bird, cockatoo is coming out of her vagina. Very strange, but I guess it's surreal. This is some great stuff. Grim Grids by Crumb. And this is, you know, it's got some, you can kind of follow the story because it's Crumb. You can't help but have things kind of make sense, you know? But it is a lot of random things. These robot people, I don't know what they're supposed to be, like mannequins. And this eye crawls up this woman's vagina, comes out of her mouth. Disgusting image right there. And he's still connected to his owner. The eye, you can see his, it's just going all the way down this alley. The eye, whatever that shit's called. Yeah, just it gets more random. Just starts showing abstract images. I think Crumb just wanted to draw some fun stuff. And here's Crumb being all abstract, showing these beatniks, getting all Picasso-esque and stuff. And typical Crumb shenanigans. And then I like this, how it's, you know, obviously like the beats are very rhythmic and like the same. And then he just like stops everything. This is almost like, I guess, what they call a caesura in a poem, where all of a sudden it's just this like bleak modern landscapes, and Robert Crumb is asking what's to be done with all this metal and concrete, and what'll happen to all the people who live in these grim places. But then it gets back to zaniness. So that's a really interesting thing he did there. You can just look at the page, it's just like obviously this break in the comic. So then this guy crawls inside this giant cowgirl and he's in his stomach and the eyeballs there. It's just, you know, it's surreal. Doesn't make much sense. But good stuff. Oh, we got Kim Deitch now. One of my favorites. This is some fun stuff. This is just, I guess, some crazy future. And I don't know if this is what humans have become. These weird robots with their brains in their belly. But they're the leading race. They're in charge. And there's the alarm goes off. There's some escape in progress. These little homunculi-looking things, who are humans with little dinosaur bodies. They're vacuuming them all up because they're all like running free here. So they're vacuuming them up, but one escapes, and he goes through this modern city, and he finds himself at the time machine place where they're sending people back, you know, dressed in our attire so they can fit in. So he sneaks in. You can barely see him there. And he goes back to 1947, and he rings the doorbell. He's like, "Betty, it's me, Herb." And he falls off and dies from the fall, splat. So Betty just throws him in the toilet and flushes it, and that's the end. And that's some great stuff. So this is Larry Rippey, who was another like underground guy, always doing funny stuff. This, I really like the art in this. This is the goofy cartoon art. These two guys are facing off in a duel. He's still here in this second row. I don't know what happened to the other duelist, but some really cool, fun, surreal stuff's going on in that center circle thing. It just looks really good. Yeah, just non sequiturs, a mad scientist with some robots behind him. And then the last panel, we got this duelist, and it's Jigs from Bringing Up Father, and this cool-looking two-headed monster with flashlight hands. So yeah, it doesn't make sense at all, but it's really nice to look at. That's some good stuff. This is Joel Beck. Joel Beck, another one of the gag guys of Undergrounds. He was always pretty clean. And so he never got that underground, but he was in lots of undergrounds, and he was always just like making funny gags. Like he could have been a Sunday strip cartoonist, you know, if his style was a little more normal. But this is just a fantasy image. I don't know, of some dreamlike palace. And I've never seen Joel Beck draw this seriously. Usually he's very cartoony, but it looks like he's really, you know, trying to draw. And this is Peter Poplaski, who, God, I wish that guy drew more. Peter Poplaski is this amazing artist who spent most of his life just doing production work, working at Kitchen Sink Press, you know, he's the office guy who, like, makes sure the logos are glued on right, and, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, so he didn't have enough time to draw his own comics, but he's so good whenever he does. He's got this, he can draw anything. He's very facile as an artist. He's really good at mimicking other artists. So I don't know if he's trying to mimic like superhero artists here, but this looks like, I mean, he could get a job at Marvel Comics, you know, drawing like that. Except he couldn't make the guy fat. So, yeah, this is crazy. There's this weird superhero named Chicken Fat, and he's just proclaiming these like kind of philosophical statements while he's angrily chomping on a cigar. And at the end, he just says, "All nuts." It's just very silly, but very good art. So this is a really, the longest story in the book, and I'm going to have to look at the front. I forgot this guy's name. I've never seen him before. His name's Mike Newhall, and this is, like, in a way, the most surreal strip, because even the captions, the writing in this comic is just really, you know, it's surreal. It's just non sequiturs. It's almost like, it's poetry. That's what I should say. It's not really prose, it's total poetry. You don't really know what he's talking about, but lots of interesting language is used. So, you know, and these whales are flying through the sky. There's these brain trees. When we zoom in onto one of the brain trees, you see a branch with an egg cracking open. And, yeah, this is complete surrealism. I love this thing. This guy cuts the plate. There's no food on it, so he just cuts the plate. Then we see the fork in the plate on this yard and a knife. And then we see other cutlery trees. Now they're sprouting leaves. And just, this is a great sequence. The house kind of like a boil bursts, and this car and a trailer fly out. That's a great panel. That looks like Jeff Darrow or something. And it's flying through the air. And yeah, you can't really look to the caption explain anything because it's just a random poem. But this is some really groovy stuff, man. This is fun. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, won't take this. It's, I like story too. But sometimes it's really fun to like read something that just makes you scratch your head and be like, what the fuck are they doing? It's just, it's interesting. It's definitely not boring. I don't find this stuff boring at all. It's just, it is odd though. There's not much story here. And then we end with the whales again. And I don't know what happened. So luckily we get even more Peter Pontiac. He does the inside back cover. I'll put it over here so there's no glare. And yeah, once again, it's just some vignette. Are you a sad smoker? He really seemed to like to draw beautiful women. He always like finds a way to put this beautiful blonde in. She almost looks the same in every one. And just amazing lettering. His logo's insane, it says. Just so well done. I mean, this guy is a consummate cartoonist. And we got Jimi Hendrix in a car. Jesus is driving. It just says love. And then she's thinking, don't spend your time on bad things. So this guy's probably, high as fuck when he came up with this comic. But not too high because he's incredibly skilled. He couldn't draw this well if he was that blotto. And then we have another wonderful Dennis Kitchen piece as the back cover, Working in Geektown. It's another surreal vignette, but this is kind of weird. It has a little backstory. It says MCG Inc. he's going to work at. That's Marvel Comics Group. Because, he worked with Marvel for that comics book magazine. And so for a while, he was in the belly of the beast, kind of, working with Stan Lee and that whole corporate milieu. So he goes in, everything's surreal, but you can kind of tell it's like, yeah, there's this like hot secretary and this, fat cat businessman he's shaking hands with, making a deal with the devil. He's in the sweatshop, basically just another cog. Like, here's your desk. And a really creepy looking lady. And he's there for a while. Boredom sets in. And then I think the last panel is basically trying to tell us now he's a geek too. He looks just like a fucking, he didn't get enough oxygen at birth or something, So there you go, a damn good underground comic, Mondo Snarfo. Yeah, this is some great shit in here, and I highly recommend it to anyone hunting for old undergrounds. This is a nice sampler of all these various artists and at their peak, and some of the biggest names in comics. Underground comics. Okay, I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time. Good night.